Coming up next on Kiss My Collectibles, we sit down with Keith Valcourt, the Global Project Manager for the Gene Simmons Vault. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our channels on YouTube and iTunes.
Look, it's rock and roll!
Alright, Kiss Army. It's time to shout it out loud and kiss my collectibles.
Welcome to the next episode of Kiss My Collectibles. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me, as always, is...
Andrew Scambatti. Great to be here.
All right, and we're going to skip all the normal stuff that we normally do, and we're going to jump right into it. We've got Keith Valcourt with us on the phone today, and Keith is with Rhino Records, and I guess he's basically the point man for the whole vault, everything Gene Simmons Vault. And now that the LA event has already happened, we've got some questions and just want to pick Keith's brain a little bit. So if you're ready, Keith, we'll go ahead and start.
Yes, please do. They actually gave me a fancy title. I'm the Global Project Manager, Gene Simmons Vault. So that means that I get Gene cottage cheese at 11:30 at night wherever we are if he's hungry.
Well, there you go. I mean, some people want to be bankers. I mean, some people would probably kill to have that job. So.
Oh, listen. Yeah, I am the luckiest. I'm a music fan. I've been lucky to be in and out of the music business my whole life, and I've said this before. I'm the luckiest Kiss fan in the world to have this job. There are moments like the big launch party at Capitol where I'm standing between Gene and Ace, and I'm going, this is probably, other than the birth of the children and the wife and the wedding day, this is pretty much one of the most amazing days of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm not going to ask, Andrew may ask, I'm not going to ask too many questions about, what everybody wanted to know before we had the first event and everything. We know a lot of that stuff now, and we know how this is kind of all ironing out. But I was kind of wondering, after the LA event, what did you guys learn from that experience? I'm sure you had an idea of a timeline set out and how you thought everything was going to roll, but you can't predict all of those cool things happening and things like that. Right. So what have you guys learned about these events that'll be coming up now, and how that all happened?
Well, we learned that basically there's no rushing Gene. And that was one of the things we were wondering ahead of time. We said everyone's going to get 5 to 10 minutes with Gene one-on-one time. And we didn't really know how that was going to work. We didn't know if it was legitimately going to be that much time. We didn't know if people were going to come in and he was going to say, here's your vault, thank you very much. And what we saw was the side of Gene that's probably my favorite side of Gene is so excited to meet the fans, even more so than some of the fans were to meet Gene. Gene wanted to hear their stories. Gene wanted to legitimately spend quality time with them. And there was no, we learned that a vault experience doesn't necessarily happen in 5 hours. It may take 8 hours. We learned there's a full day to be had because Gene really does want to have that one-on-one time and really spend, quality moments with a Kiss fan. One of the things that we're going to be doing for the next couple that we think might make everything a little smoother is we're going to do the songs and stories at the start of the day. Because, we had some fans that they were number one to get their vault. They showed up an hour and a half early, and then they had to wait around for 5-6 hours for songs and stories. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the day with songs and stories, and then Gene will go to hand out vaults.
So ever since I started writing songs, I never talk about it because all I do is stick my tongue out. That's all I do. And that's fine. But I started off being in love with Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, and all that stuff. I didn't hear the Beatles until later, because I'm 68, and boy, do I look good. And so when the Beatles came, I had, epiphany. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, listen to those melodies and all all these chords that you never knew, because, rock and roll was just, major chords, 1, 4, 5, and I learned how to play chords, and started writing songs. And to this day, I can't write directionally. All kinds of songs, come out of me.
Let's say someone has a kid and they can only be there for a couple hours. They get the songs and stories, they're happy, they get their vault, and then they can leave if they want. There may be other special things that happen later in the day. There may be guest jams. We can't, we're working on the potential or the possibility of those, but we think that generally speaking, people will get songs and stories. If any guests are there and they play with Gene, we're going to implement that at the start of the day, and then they can hang out in the party and they get their time with Gene. And again, if they have to go somewhere, if they have to be somewhere, they don't have to stay around for the 5 hours. They can, go after that. Or if they want to stay around, they can certainly stay around and dig the vibe that we had in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, he's going to sing it.
We'll sing it with you.
She'd always be there trying to grab a hold.
You guys sing too.
She thought she knew me, but she didn't know. And I was sad and wanted her to go. Parasite lady, parasite eyes, parasite lady, going to cry. Doesn't it sound great on acoustic guitar?
LA was very special. Having Ace there was not what we planned. I just happened. I met, luckily enough, when I was on the road with Gene and we were in Minneapolis doing a benefit last year. We ran into Ace. Ace played the benefit, and he became friendly with his manager. And I just said, okay, let's send out an invitation, because I know he lives in California. And the fact that we thought Ace would just show up and get his vault and take a couple pictures and hang out with some fans. The fact that Ace wanted to play. So we ended up with 2 songs and stories, really, because you got a mini set with Gene and Ace, and then you got the songs and stories, and of course later joined by Ace and Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer. If we may get lucky into other cities, we're going to have artists showing up. I know Ace and I have talked about a couple other cities that he wants to come to, and we're working on that. And if that does happen, we're going to do the songs and story part where I ask Gene the questions, he plays some songs, and then have whatever guests come up and play. And again, at the start of it.
Hi, everybody. Gene Simmons here. For the past 3 years, I've been working on something that I've wanted to share with you my entire life. I've gone through hours and hours of music I've recorded and written over the past 50 years to craft my career-spanning solo recordings box set. It's called The Vault.
This is a project that when stuff started leaking out and we started finding out about the project, we were all the fans were kind of walking on eggshells a little bit, kind of wondering how it was going to work and if this was going to work. Take me back to when the project was getting started. When did you know that it was going to work, or did you know that it was going to work?
I knew it was going to about 10 minutes into the launch. No, I knew it was going to work. Once it went from a scrap of paper on Gene's desk, and Gene and I sitting there late at night with my boss, Brian Hay, who was also there, and we were trying to figure out what this was going to be. It was not called The Vault when it started. It was, obviously, Kiss fans know, it was called either Gene Simmons' Alter Ego or the Gene Simmons Monster over the years. He's been wanting to do this for 15 years. Right. And it started to evolve. And one night we were sitting there and we were talking about Prince and how it was kind of a shame that once he died, they pried open his vault and they took all of his tapes, his master tapes, all these people who half brothers and what have you. And I said to Gene, I go, this is kind of like your vault. And then he took this piece of paper out of the fax machine. Yeah, he still has a fax machine sitting in the corner. And he scribbled on it and he drew the vault. He drew what became the physical safe. And I knew it was going to work probably the 5-6 months into it when I saw the actual first Metal and Wood Vault, and I picked it up and realized how heavy it was, and I took it to Gene, and Gene looked at it, and Gene said, "Wow." And then he looked at me, he goes, "That's what we want every single person who gets this to say. They have to say, wow." So I knew at that moment that we were creating something that was above and beyond what anyone was expecting, what anyone thought. People thought it was going to be cardboard. They thought it was going to be, we wanted to create something that literally would blow people away. And everything in it, we spent that kind of quality time putting together. And that's when I really knew that I was like, okay, if Gene is saying wow, and the fans are going to say wow, and this is definitely going to work.
And the fans had definitely said wow, because I always was kind of hoping that there was going to be like a B version of the Vault that was going to come out where I was able to purchase just the music. But after seeing everything that happened in LA, and this is minus the Ace and Eric and Bruce stuff, just seeing what Gene did and what you did, Keith, just seeing that, I was sold. And I was like, you know what, I have to get it. And I kind of felt like the stars aligned a little bit for me because, right after LA, I was there 12 o'clock the next day and I purchased my own Vault for here in Cleveland,
nice.
Which I'm stoked to do. And I'm stoked to share some of my personal memories and some of my personal things with Gene. Going back to how the project started, you obviously came onto the project very, very, very early on. What's something that maybe you wanted to do in the Vault that maybe Gene said this isn't going to work, or maybe it was something that Gene made better?
Well, anyone who's ever worked with Gene will tell you, it's all Gene's idea. And 90% of everything is Gene. It really is. I mean, the funny thing is, though, but 90% of it is, he's very focused and very clear in what he wants to do. I will take credit for one thing, and he will tell me, and if he ever hears this, he'll go, "You didn't come up with that." Besides calling it the Vault, which I take credit for that, and he actually has given me credit for that, I wanted to do the first ever non-makeup Gene Simmons action figure. I know, it's sitting in his office, looking at all these action figures, looking at the Megos that were in the glass case that I wanted as a kid but could never get because the money wasn't there to buy dolls, growing up in when I was a kid. And looking at the stuff, I said, what would be cool? I said, a non-makeup, and he painstakingly came up with the ideas for it. I pitched him the idea. He said it's great, but then he's like, the leather has to feel like leather. And I was like, well, it's an action figure. It'll feel like plastic. He goes, no. The leather has to feel like leather. The denim has to feel like denim. He goes, the boots should look just like these. And he pointed to his boots. And I snapped a picture on my phone. He goes, and it should be this, and this should be the face, and this should be the look. And the sunglasses don't come off. But if they do fall off, the eyes should be there, and they should look like my eyes. And we went through 5 different toy manufacturers, pitching different ideas, everyone from Funko to McFarlane, until we found Mezco, this company out of New York, and spent 9 months. Amazing work. And Mez and those guys spent 9 months getting it really, really right. So I would say that the thing that Gene made better, besides everything, was my idea for the non-makeup action figure. The attention to detail that he put into creating that made it one of the coolest action figures I've ever seen.
I think Andrew is actually more excited for the action figure than he is anything else in the Vault. It's hilarious.
It's cool. It's cool, man. I tell you, it looks cool. And when it's sitting there, we took some pictures of it in the hall at Rhino, and a girl came by my office who wasn't there on the day that Gene came for the meeting, and she goes, "Why didn't you tell me Gene was back in the office?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "That picture right there, and it shows him in the hall." I said, "That's not Gene. That's the action figure."
That's
and
great.
it looks that real that you look at it, and if you're not paying attention, you're like, "That's a photo of Gene." You're like, "No, that's a photo of the small action figure Gene." But it looks that good.
Well, okay. So on a personal level, I, like you, have been lucky enough to work in the music industry my entire adult life. So, over 20 years now. And what I do now for a living is I work for a vinyl distribution company out of Nashville.
Nice.
Also a division of the largest pressing plant in the country as well, oldest and largest pressing plant. Anyway, that being said, I have to ask, was there ever any idea to include any kind of vinyl with this?
Yes.
Okay.
The original one of the original drafts of the Vault featured a little catch-all pocket on the inside door of the Vault where the 45 would sit, and the 45 was going to be, side A was going to be My Uncle is a Rat, the first track he ever recorded, which is In the Vault from 1966. Side B was going to be one of the tracks, and we didn't decide which one, that he recorded in 2016, which, bookmarks the 50 years of the music in the vault. That was originally planned. I don't know why in the evolution of the vault it went away. There were so many ideas that came in. There was going to be, first of all, it wasn't going to be a vault. It was going to be an attaché case, and it was going to be bulletproof. And then it was going to be the Dr. Love doctor's bag, and we were going to put some of Gene's blood in it, harkening back to the comic books in the 70s, all these things. So there was an original talk of a 45 being in there. That idea, for some reason or another, just as things developed, didn't make it into the vault. There's been talk of a vinyl vault, which doing the entire thing in vinyl, but there was a time frame issue. As you well know, someone who works in vinyl, it takes a while to get things done as far as making vinyl. And Gene had a very distinctive time frame. That 2018 was going to be the year of the vault. We were going to go do all these things because there's some big Kiss things brewing in the Kiss world for 2019. So it was one of these things where we couldn't get the vinyl ready in time. So we decided that we could, right now, we could not do vinyl for the vault.
Well, you will not hurt my feelings if you decide in a year to reissue the vault on vinyl. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I certainly wouldn't mind having it either. And I know there's a lot of Kiss fans that wouldn't mind that. I know that because a lot of the tracks, look, the early demos, Gene owns everything in the vault, but a lot of the early demos became Kiss classics. So there's a deal with his old record label, Universal, where Rhino has to pay an override. But because we're doing an experience and not directly marketing, just music to people, the override is not ridiculous. If we were to just do, say, a vinyl vault and there wasn't an experience attached to it, the pricing would be prohibitive.
Yeah. Awesome. It's got two handles on the sides.
Oh my goodness, Gene. Bigger is better.
Put it on the table. Just so you know, this is going to last a lifetime, as you can tell.
That is beautiful.
It's hardcore. The way you open it is you just pull. We originally had this actually working, and people were going to put in their own, numbers, but everybody forgets them, and then we get tortured. So I just said, we can't do that. So you do, sometimes they break, so you just go like that, and you'll see when you go all through this. I want you to go through it yourself. It's got 50,000 words, and I lied because I said there were 10 CDs in there. 11. There's 11. And I said that there were 150 songs on it. There were actually 167.
So that's one of the aspects of the experience. That's why people are, people crying. They're like, "Well, I just wanted to get the vault. I don't want the experience." I'm like, "Well, first of all, you're shortchanging yourself because the experience is amazing. But second of all, I'm like, we legitimately can't do it. That's why we're only doing a limited amount. There are restrictions and rules that apply, and we can't. I would love to do a vinyl vault. I think Gene would love to do a vinyl vault. I can't say 100% that'll never happen, but it's not there are no plans for it, and we're looking at 2018 as the year of the vault, going around the world, and Gene's handing them out. Beyond 2018, we're not really, Gene's got other stuff coming up for 2019, and I don't think we'll be doing a vinyl vault. I would love it, but I can never say never, but there's nothing planned.
Understood.
Yeah. This next one question I got for you is going to be a two-parter because I know Jason is going to come in on part B on this one. What are your feelings on the music getting out there that isn't purchased through an experience? How do you feel about that?
Well, look, I was at Capitol Records 22 years ago when digital downloading became a thing. I watched a person who was running the show at the time. I was sitting next to Mike Dries, who owns Newbury Comics. It's a chain in New England. They started up with comic books. You know they are, right? They started up comic books, then they became a record store. Okay, great. So you know them. So Mike said to this person who was running Capitol at the time, said, "What are you guys going to do about it?" Can I swear on the show? That's the question I could ask.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So it's not necessary, but there's a swear in this story. So Mike says to the president of Capitol, said, "What are you guys going to do about digital downloading?" And the guy goes, people love going to record stores. Nothing will ever replace the joy people feel going to record stores. And what, if they download it, they're going to wait a week for us to send them the artwork? This is fine. Digital downloading will never be anything. And Mike Treese leaned into me and goes, we are fucked. And he was right, because the record companies had a moment in time. There was a short window where they could have done something. They could have encrypted. They could have figured out a way to make it, remind people that music had value to it and that you couldn't just steal music. So, to the long story around, answer your question, I'm like everybody else. I work hard to get the things that I get. If I know somebody is stealing that thing and I paid for it, I'd be pissed. I think any vault buyer who buys the vault and then makes copies for their friends is kind of cheapening their own experience. And, look, my brother doesn't have the vault, and he loves Kiss as much as I do. He's been in my house a couple of times. I've played him the vault. I'm not burning him copies of the CDs. It's just the reality of the situation. But no, it's look at that. And I know he would never upload them, and I know he wouldn't burn them for other people. But, it's something that we all work, and if we're lucky in this life, we work for what we can afford. I drive a Honda minivan. I wish I drove a DeLorean, but that's what I can afford. And I certainly don't think, not even for the flying part, I just wish DeLoreans look cool. But the fact that someone would work hard and get the vault and then burn it for someone who might then burn it for someone else who then might post it online, that kind of sucks. But it is the reality of, it's the reality of the marketplace. It's the reality of the music business. It's the reason the vault is what it is, because Gene wanted to bring value back to music. When I hear people going, well, that sucks. We used to be able to all buy music for $10. Well, you stopped buying music at some point. People started just taking music, and now it's all about high end. It really is. It's like, okay, you want to be part of this. Now it's going to cost this amount, and only a certain amount of people can be part of it, because everyone else collectively thinks it's okay to steal music, and it's not. It really isn't. It's it's just but it is the reality. So we know it's going to happen. There have been a couple of idiots who've tried to sell parts of the vault already on eBay. We Gene has lawyers, Rhino has lawyers. They've already been shut down. There was a guy trying to sell just the music. There are people who are going to bootleg it and try to sell bootlegs. The legal will chase them as much as they can. That's going to be, but we know that's the reality. That's what we're going to have to deal with.
Sure. Okay. A couple things. There's a part B to that, and you just touched on it. My part B of it. I did want to say though that you're definitely preaching to the choir here, as far as I'm concerned,
right?
Because I worked for a family-owned business called Music City Record Distributors out of Nashville that had been a distributor and then opened record stores, but had been open since 1946 or something like that. I mean, many, many years. And I watched this family-owned business that had about 30 record stores in Tennessee file bankruptcy in 2008.
Right.
And it was simply due to downloading. It destroyed us. It destroyed us.
And people think nothing of it. And it's just like, if you're getting it, you have to think about this also. People forget about quality. If you're getting your music for free, eventually the artists who are making the music aren't going to be able to make the kind of music that you want, because it costs money to make music, and you're going to end up with what you end up with. And I'm not going to sound like a grumpy old man and piss on Drake or anybody who makes records in their bathrooms, but you get what you're going to get to what you pay for. It's like, oh yeah, I really like that band, but how come they're not around anymore? Well, because it costs a certain amount of money to go to the studio and make the quality records that they made. So now you're listening to someone with a Pro Tool set up in their basement. So, you get what you pay for.
I love downloading, but I pay for all my downloads. Everything I download is from iTunes. I pay for it. When the new Spider-Man movie came out, I was there at 1201. I purchased it on iTunes just because I like the convenience factor of it. I don't steal it, but I do purchase it digitally.
Which is great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm of the same way. I'll listen to Spotify as a preview tool. Like I'll go, I wonder how the new whatever record is coming out recently, LCD Sound System, which is this kind of dance collective. I'm like, I wonder how it is. I listen to it on Spotify. I'm like, all right, that's good to put in the car. And I bought it. So yeah, I have no problem with people buying music as downloads and doing it that way. It's just, some people who think that everything should be free. That's where the issues come in.
Agreed.
Okay, so the B part of that question was, so, there's a disclaimer when you go in to buy the vault, and it says, once you add your city and you get to the checkout point, there's this whole list of disclaimers and stuff and terms of agreements. And there's this particular section that says, and I'm going to quote, "No part of the experience may be transferred for profit or for commercial gain, resold, exchanged, or given to a third party, offered as an incentive, giveaway, or a prize in competition or otherwise disposed of." So we had that guy the other day that was trying to pre-sell his Vault CDs. Right. So he didn't have them in hand. He was trying to pre-sell them. That obviously negates his agreement that he had with you guys, so or with the Vault and Gene Simmons. So you said that you guys went after him and had that taken down. Is that correct?
That's correct. The lawyers contacted eBay, and that auction, as you see, that auction was not sold. That auction ended, and it did not end. It was shut down internally by eBay because it clearly states. The lawyers aren't playing around. Gene's been doing this for a lot of years, and it clearly states what this is about. And if you want to violate it, we had another guy who was on contact either for Kiss fans bragging about he was going to bootleg the CDs from the Vault and sell them outside of this thing. Well, we found out the name and we traced the city where he said he bought the Vault. He's not real. He didn't buy or he's using a fake name. But we made it very clear that, if we find that guy, when he shows up at his Vault experience, his special gift from Gene will be a copy of his email to all the Kiss fans saying he was going to do, and Gene's going to make him read it in front of him on camera just to see what kind of, what kind of a tough guy he is then. Look, it's amazing. Some people are just amazing, and not in a good way.
So now what if you had someone from the LA experience that already has their Vault in hand and they decide they want to sell their CDs on eBay? I mean, it's their property at this point.
But that's a question for legal. The way that it's been explained to me is that anything that pops up, we report to legal and they go after. Well, for instance, some idiot is out there selling the Rhino calendar. Rhino Records does a great calendar every year, and the centerfold in the calendar is Gene. And I talked to the lawyers last week, and I said, "What are we going to do about this?" And they're, it's listed for $4, and they're like, and same thing with Gene. He's like, it's not worth, spending a dollar to make a penny, that kind of deal. So it's not worth chasing someone down. But in the case of the music, they're going to be very vigilant. Because it's something he's waited so long to do this. It's deeply personal, and he takes it as a personal affront if someone's trying to do it that way.
So you also kind of touched on what my next question is going to be, or I guess I kind of put it together. There's not going to be a Vault Lite that comes out in 2019 or 2020 with just the music. The Vault is the Vault.
The Vault is the Vault. The way things are structured in the deal. That's how we're doing it. There are 5,000 vaults that have been made worldwide. That's it. And that's all that will be made. And that's all. The Vault will be sold as the Vault. It will not be, there will not be the best of the Vault. There will not be Gene select cuts from the Vault. None of that has, that's all been since day one. Gene has said no to all of that. And the way that his deal is structured and the way that Rhino's deal is structured, everyone's agreed that the Vault is the Vault. There are 5,000 vaults. There are 5,000 people who will want to buy the Vault. Once they're gone, they're gone. And that's it. That's it. There's no plans to do more. There's no plans to do just the CDs. It is what it is, and it's all it's going to be.
That's actually really cool. That definitely puts a smile on my face, and I'm assuming it puts a smile on anyone's face that has purchased it. So I want to go backwards a little bit to, I know there are different Vault experiences that you can purchase, and there was a producer experience that you can purchase too. Were you involved in any of those producer experiences when fans came in and were able to work on the Vault with Gene?
No, I've been standing next to Gene for 14 months in everything that's Vault related. There hasn't been a single moment from the mastering. We mastered all of the and it's 11 CDs now. I know the secret is out.
As the bonus CD. Yes.
So we mastered all the 11 CDs. So yes, we did 2 producer experiences. It was offered. Look, we put it out there, and Gene fully knowing it's an Uber experience.
You have any notes? You write it down. You know the name of the song. But if a song grabs you and you've got something to say about it, write the song title and what you think about it, okay?
Okay.
What's the next song title?
Christine 16.
Okay. I want to tell you that I love her a lot, but I got a better belly full of wine. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl. Someday I'm gonna make her mine. Oh yeah, someday I'm gonna make her mine. Boom, boom. Yeah.
Look, it's 25 grand. You're an executive producer, and these people, Gino, who we call the oil can man because that's his business. He's out of Miami, Florida. He came into New York. We did Electric Lady Studios. We had it for the whole day, and Gino came in with his family and spent the day with Gene. He listened to. We didn't have track listings at that time. We had other tracks that didn't make it on the vault that were like, which one? We had like 4 or 5 versions of one song, and Gino and Gene sat down and went through and listened to stuff, and Gino gave his input and said, okay, this is what I think works, this is what it doesn't think works. And, 95% of what he said ended up on the vault. Flash forward, we went to Dallas, and the Hernandez family, Sienna Hernandez is I think she's 13 or 14 years old. She's a musician, she's an actress. Her parents are giant Kiss fans. She came in and gave her opinions, and it was funny how some of them were right on exactly what Gino had said and what we were thinking. Some of them were completely different. It was a different, generation's opinions, and we went through and we took the input from the two of them and we put it into the vault, and it kind of helped us form what the track listings would be, what the flow of some of the CDs would be.
So cool, so cool,
very, very cool. So I have a somewhat controversial question. Because there's rumblings. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there's rumblings that this gentleman may be involved somehow, maybe in the Nashville area. But you can say something to that if you want to or not. But so, was there any hesitancy of putting anything Vinnie Vincent related on the vault because of the history?
No,
there wasn't.
Look, everyone knows that. Everyone knows the history, or as we're supposed to say, the history between Gene and Vinnie, and Vinnie and the band. No, there's only one track on the vault that Vinnie is involved with. Gene reached out when it came to all the different guest stars on the vault. Gene reached out to everyone individually and got their permission. He did not do anything without all the artists knowing. He reached out to the Van Halen brothers, he reached out to Bob Dylan, he reached out to Joe Perry, obviously all the different Kiss bandmates, and he reached out to Vinnie. And Vinnie was very sweet and very kind and very accommodating. And look, it's water under the bridge. One of the things we saw the other night at the Capitol Studios, you had Ace there, and you also had Bruce Kulick there. Now, obviously, different entities, different parts of the Kiss history, but they're both former members, you know what I mean, who left under whatever circumstance. Ace, obviously of his own volition, with his own problems, and Bruce, because Bruce did the non-makeup years, and that was what he was part of. So I think that one of the things about the vault is it's Gene looking back on his entire career, Gene being very reflective about what he's accomplished. And I think that everyone associated with it is also taking that moment and going, wow, we got to be part of, and I'll say it with no prejudice, the greatest band in history. We got to be a part of it. And if you may disagree, but no other band has gone that many decades and has that many fans. Just amazing. And it's one of these things where I think Vinnie kind of saw that too. And it's also a chance, like with Ace, it's a chance to kind of mend things a little bit. It's a chance to, get back in the good graces, or just have a civil conversation with the former bandmates, and maybe it'll work out this time. Well, fingers crossed. And I will say this about Vinnie, he lives in the Nashville area. Yeah. There will be a vault experience in Nashville. There are invited guests in every single market. Right. And I will say that I can't speak for Vinnie, but I've spoken to Vinnie, and there's a solid potential that he may be coming by.
Well, Nashville is where I'm at, and Nashville is where I would be doing the Vault experience, because I was going to do Atlanta. And speaking of Atlanta, Vinnie is doing the Kiss Expo this weekend, and we're actually we've got tables down there that our podcast does, and so we'll be meeting Vinnie this weekend. But if that is able to work out, I mean, what a what a heck of an
It
experience.
would be amazing, wouldn't it? Yeah. What we're trying to do with the Kiss Expo, there will also, just, you guys should stop by. There's a vault that's going to be on display. I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be. Okay, so I'm going to be in Detroit with Gene, but we have some guy from Warner Music Group who's going to come down. There's going to be a vault there, so you guys can check it out, and all the fans can check it out. But yeah, with these experiences, we know the value in having other people show up. We know the value in having guests. Gene knows the value. So yeah, we've invited Vinny. Ace is going to come. Ace and I were talking, and there's a couple more places that Ace wants to come to. Different people from other bands like Don Felder and Robin Zander. Different markets that we're in.
So cool.
These people want to come to Vault of it. They want to come hang out with Gene. They want to be part of it. So we're trying to make. And I don't want to. The one thing I don't want people to do is go, well, the LA thing had all these great guests, but my vault's going to suck because it's just going to be Gene. Because we have to remember at the heart of it, you're going to the vault experience for Gene. If you're in the vault experience and you turn around and all of a sudden Ace is standing there, or you turn around and all of a sudden Vinnie Vincent is up on stage, or you turn around and Robin Zander is there, or Eric Singer pops up at another one, or you're in Las Vegas and people you don't expect like Carrot Top show up, you can't be pissed off because that's a bonus. That's an extra gift from Gene. It's not, you're not paying for that. But you never do know. And I say this, I've had a lot of conversations since the LA event because people saw it and then they were like, they get it and they want to be part of it. I've had a lot of conversations, and some people from the world of Kiss, like Ken Kelly, these different people who have a lot of the history have been invited and are going to try and come. Some former band members like Vinny, like Peter Criss, like Ace have been invited and have tentatively said they're going to come to different events. So, and then again, other rock luminaries like Kid Rock and so forth have been invited and said they're going to come by. So, you never know who's going to be there, but remember, you're coming to see Gene, and anything else is a bonus.
Bob Ezra and Eddie Kramer are both in Nashville too. If y'all want to put the bug in there,
they're more than invited. And I spoke to Bob Kulick. He's in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
he's coming by. He's going to come try. Again, you have to say try to come by because no one's schedules change. But these are all people that have been invited. These are all people that have said they want to come. So. My philosophy is the more the merrier. The guys from Twisted Sister want to come to New York, and Dee is down in Miami. Dee wants to come to Miami. So, you never know who you're going to get, or you might get nobody and get Gene, but either way, you're not going to walk away disappointed.
Sure,
I still have a feeling, even if no one's there, Gene's probably going to balance a hat on his nose like he does. He'll probably go out of his way to be the crazy uncle.
I haven't seen him do that in years, man. I'd love to see that again. So.
He loves to entertain, and man, and no joke, he's not doing this because he needs the money. He's doing it because he wants to. I mean, it really is. Let's be honest, because he could have just turned out the vault. What other rock star in their right mind says, you know what I want to do? I want to spend a year going around the world handing these to fans. He could have just made the vault. And Rhino could have put it out as a $750 box set or whatever, and just made it out of cardboard and just shipped it like at traditional retail. He wants to make these connections. He wants to entertain. He wants to stand in front of people and talk to people. And he will be charming and entertaining because that's what he wants to be, and that's what he's going to do.
So cool. So everyone also knows too that when you purchase the vault, there's going to be an exclusive gift from Gene, and I'm actually really excited that not a whole lot of gifts have come to fruition. Like, we don't know what's in there. That kind of makes it more special to me. When you were going through Gene's stuff, what's something that you picked out and you said, Gene, this has to be as a vault giveaway? Tell us something that we could maybe look forward to being in a vault.
Well, that was one of the coolest moments. He came. We were trying to figure out. Gene's always about giving fans more, so we were trying to figure out the vault. I said, okay, great. So we're gonna have the CDs, the book, the action figures, the coin. It's gonna be great. And he's like, what about more? And I'm like, what else will we do? He goes, well, we'll do a T-shirt. I said, well, okay, that's all the pre-pack. We'll do a T-shirt and a golden ticket and all this stuff. He goes, what about if every vault has something of mine in it? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, come with me. We're going to the basement now. 90% of the people in America would be a little scared when Gene Simmons says, come with me, we're going to the basement. But I said, all right, let's see what happens. So we go down to the basement, and it is packed with Kiss stuff. And it's like highly collectible Kiss stuff, you know, and there's piles of the stuff, and you're like, wow, it's amazing. He goes, grab that bin, and we just started throwing stuff into a bin, and he's like, put this in there, and he goes, oh, here's the Howard the Duck comic book. You know, it's the first time Kiss was in a comic book, and he gives me like a couple of those, and he goes, and here, this is this, and this is that, and then and I'm like, he goes, these are sunglasses I wore. This is my glove from Tears Are Falling that I wore in the video. You know, we're like stuff like that, and you're just like, there were moments where I actually said to him, are you sure you want to give this stuff away? And he's like, yes. And he's like, here's a bunch of backstage passes unused from Hot in the Shade and from this day. Here's a calendar. You know, so we started doing that. And then he goes, oh, the next day I was up at the house. He goes, he was going to the attic and he pulled out the stuff. And he had sunglasses and belts and guitar straps. And it's all stuff that he used and owns. And I said, there was a box of watches. And I'm looking through these watches. And there's a Rolex in there. And I look at Gene and I go, this is fake, right? This is a fake Rolex. She goes, no, it's a real Rolex. I said, do you realize what a Rolex is worth? And he's like, well, about $2,000. I said, okay, we probably shouldn't put this in the vault. He goes, no, put it in the vault. I said, Gene, we're selling the vault for $2,000, and you're going to give away a $2,000 watch. He goes, imagine someone's face when they open it up.
Right.
And that's when that was a minute where I was like, this guy is for real. He legitimately wants to thrill the fans. You know, and then he looks at me, and there was a whole bunch of watches, and he goes, now go put those in your van before Shannon gets here. Because Shannon was down the hall. And I'm literally walking this bin of stuff down in my van, and Shannon's like, hey. She goes, what are you putting in there? I said, oh, lots of Kiss collectibles. She goes, oh, good, get him out of the house. And I just put him in my van and put a towel over him, you know, because I mean, it's ridiculous, some of the stuff. Stage-worn stuff, to me, is some of the coolest stuff that's in there. We had a couple of Dragon Boot covers from the Farewell Tour in 2000 that he shattered on stage. So we've cut those into forts, and those are in some of the vaults, and cool. You know, you get an eye in the tooth, and you just, you know, stuff like that is kind of cool. Lots and lots of stuff. His jersey, when he had LA Kiss, they made jerseys, but he had his personal jersey.
Oh,
he's
nice.
like, here, and I said, is this one of, like, you know, 6,000? He goes, no, that one's mine, because that's the one they made for me before we did any merch, you know, for the launch. So that's in one of the vaults. Cool. I'm sorry, I'm going on too long, but then the other aspect of it, so, all right, good. So we went to, and my wife doesn't agree with you, but we went to the, so we did the basement, we did the attic, and then he goes, you know, I have a storage space. And I stopped for a second, and as a Kiss fan, I knew that about a legendary storage space that exists somewhere in California. I said, is it the Kiss storage space? He goes, yes, would you like to go there? And I'm like, yeah, sure, if you want. I mean, if you want to go, yeah, that's fine. And we took a camera crew, and we spent, you know, we went there once. We spent about 5 hours, Gene and I, cutting through boxes like a weird rock and roll episode of American Pickers, just pulling out stuff that I was like, you know, some of the stuff, unfortunately, we couldn't fit in the vault. Like he had some of the original Mego dolls. They couldn't fit in the vault. He had one of the record players, and so they wouldn't fit. So yeah, no. And then of course, he realized that he had it. He went, oh, I didn't know I had that. So that went in his own personal office museum. But some of the stuff was just amazing. Original press kits from Bill Coyne. There was original. All this amazing stuff.
I hate to interrupt you, Keith, but you're on a
no, please.
This is Kiss My Collectibles. We're different than all the other podcasts out there. We're not a general discussion podcast. We focus on collectibles. That's what we do. Our sister, you know, we started with Kiss My Wax. We did all this vinyl stuff, and we've got books out and all this stuff. So when you're talking about this kind of stuff,
you're blowing our minds.
Right. When you're talking about, you know, press kits, especially from, you know, the first, it's 8 albums, 8 or 10 albums. I mean, those are $500 to $1,000 or $1,500 items, you know. The guy that got the Australian beach towel from 1980, that's a $500 item. You know, we're like, holy crap, man, this is great stuff. You know,
it is. That's the thing. It's all. I mean, it's great stuff. And you know, some of the vaults, if it's just, let's say there's a backstage pass. The thing is too, I'm hand filling all of the vaults when it comes to the collectibles. So if you have a situation where, you know, let's say there's a backstage pass, there's also 2 or 3 other things with it. You know what I mean? There's not. So we're trying to balance it out. So if someone does get a stage worn piece of body armor, then the next person who opens it up isn't going to be like, oh, it's crap. They're going to be like, oh, it's the towel. And you mentioned there's a pillow that I think is also Australian.
Yes.
There are like 4 of them, and it's with Eric Carr's face on it. It's like a carnival pillow. I'd be curious what those are worth, but oh, is it really? Wow. So there's some of those that are, made it into the vault. So yeah, he really, really went above and beyond to give the fans more. He really didn't want it to be just enough. He wanted it to be super special on every level. And the special gift is just, as a fan, there are some things that as I'm putting in, I'm going, I wish I had that. And I'm putting it in because it's my job. You know what I mean? Like he got the right guy for the job because of my enthusiasm, because of my knowledge for the band and so forth. But he also got the right guy to do the job because I'm super honest, and you know what I mean. So it's like there's stuff that I'm just like, wow, this is amazing, and I'm like, okay, put it in, and just watching people's faces light up as they're getting their gifts is, that's a giant reward too as part of the gig.
Gene, should I tell everybody about the new vault?
Yes, please.
It's twice the size, and when you open up the fucking door, a little fucking midget jumps out.
I like that idea.
I know you do.
Really limited edition because we can't get that many midgets.
A lot of the things you're saying, I can't believe my jaw's on the floor, and I'm so jazzed to be lucky enough to do this. And I definitely echo what you said. You're definitely the right guy for this job. Everyone has been singing your praises in doing this. So like, if I didn't purchase it already, I would purchase it now, just because you don't know.
Right.
You don't know what's going to be in there, and to get that time with Gene. I mean, I've met Gene, maybe 15, 20 times. And I've been really lucky. I've had a lot of good back and forth with Gene. Gene calls me Paul McCartney, says I look like a young Paul McCartney. So you're blowing my mind. And hearing about these things that are in the vault, hearing the things that are planned for these vault experiences, it's money well spent. And I'm glad that I was able to sign my name and purchase it. So I'm so excited, so excited.
Yeah, it's good. I'm telling you, it's going to be. I'm glad to hear enthusiasm. It's going to be for the people who are on the fence about it. All they have to do is talk to anyone who's at the Capitol event. It really is different from any other meet and greet. It's not a situation where I've been done a kiss meet and greets myself, and you get a few seconds and you go and you get the picture and you're out of the room. It's quality time. It's absolutely you're engaged. He's engaged in a way that he's never been engaged before. It's something, something completely different from what people are used to. So
yeah. I'm jazzed.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped myself too. I'm sure I will make it work out. I've got a couple of months before April rolls around for Nashville, so I definitely am going to make it happen.
So let's definitely get some plugs. Let's definitely get some plugs in here. Anyone that's on the fence about this, make sure you go to GeneSimmonsVault.com. It has all the information on there, how you can purchase the vault. But make sure that you also follow Rhino Records or Rhino on YouTube, because there are these cool videos where you go over song-by-song discussions with Gene, and you go over all kinds of other stuff with him too. So make sure you follow Rhino on YouTube as well, because you can see all that additional content, which is really, really cool to be able to see certain pages of the Vault book and hear snippets of the songs and see some of the stuff that you've been talking about too. And again, if you're on the fence, just do it. Just do it.
Look, if you can afford it, you really should do it. And one of the things that somebody said to me at the event, they said, I didn't know I didn't know if I was going to do this. I was selling off some of my collectibles, and I didn't know if it was going to be worth it. And he goes, and this is better than any other meet and greet I've ever done. And he'd done Kiss and several other band meet and greets, and that's what we were aiming for with every one of these. I don't want a single person to walk out of these rooms going, well, that was all right. I want everyone to walk out of the room going, that was amazing. That was above and beyond what I dreamt it could be. That's my job. My job is to make everyone feel as excited as I felt the first night I walked into Gene Simmons' house when I got this job, and have them spend that time and get to know that person above and beyond the guy you shake a hand and get something and walk out of a room. I want them to feel the appreciation Gene has for his fans, because he legitimately appreciates every single thing. He knows that without us, the fans, he would not have this kind of amazing life, and he wants to give back. So, I don't mean to preach, but that's it really is. It's something I never dreamed I'd be part of, and I never dreamed that the fans would get to really be part of, and it's real. So
Awesome. Well, let's leave it at that. And Keith, man, thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah.
You've been on for a long time, and I didn't think we were going to have this much time with you. So I'm very grateful that you took the time out to speak with us, and tell your wife we're sorry that we held you up. I'm going to have to do the same thing with mine.
They held me up. No, she's driving right now. I've been sitting up. We're sitting in the parking lot of the Lowe's, so she's driving home right now. But no, listen, guys, thank you so much for taking the time and for the enthusiasm and promoting it. And thank you. I appreciate you guys as well.
Listen, we're definitely in debt to you, and we'll definitely say hi to each other in Cleveland when you guys are here.
Great. Yeah. Looking forward to Cleveland. Absolutely.
All right. Cool. Sounds good. All right, Keith, thanks so much, man. And hopefully I'll meet you in Nashville, and we'll talk to you later, buddy.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
All right. Take care,
man.
Keith.
You too.
Here is the vault, GeneSimmonsVault.com. And to give you a sense of what it is, yes, that's right. It's big and heavy, and it's packed full of 150 songs, over 50 years. I'll tell you more about it. Go to GeneSimmonsVault.com, and I will get on a jet and bring this, the largest box set of all time, to you, GeneSimmonsVault.com.
So, what do you think about that?
That was great. Went well.
I'm excited. I'm going to echo what Keith said again. They chose the right guy for this job. When Keith is rattling off these little pieces of Kiss facts, it's cool because it's very rare that you get a Kiss fan to work on a Kiss project like that. So I'm jazzed to see. I didn't want to bore him with this, but if you go to GeneSimmonsVault.com, you see that you can bring 2 items to have Gene signed at your Vault experience. So I only have one, and it's I'll throw the picture up here now. It's a picture of me when I was 16 and Gene talking with my mom, who has since passed. So I'm going to share this with Gene and have Gene sign this picture because it means a whole lot to me. And just to be able to do that and have those moments with Gene, it's worth every penny, in my opinion.
I agree totally, man. I agree. Like I said, and I've posted many times in our groups and stuff, I've been a huge supporter of the Vault. I think it's a great thing. I know everybody, or a lot of people, went nuts about the costs and everything. And yeah, it's expensive, but if you have the means to do it, I just think of all the things that I waste money on, fast food and just junk that I blow money on. Man, if I just set that aside for a few months, you could have a Vault. You can have a Vault, So and obviously there's people that won't be able to afford it, and as it stands right now, I can't afford it. So I feel your pain. I'm serious. I seriously cannot afford it. I'm gonna have to sell a couple of things to help fund it. I can't take it from the family money.
Yeah, but but think about this. Let's just say you sell keychains, or you sell a poster, or you sell things like that.
Sure.
To me, it doesn't matter because you're going to replace it with an experience that you'll probably treasure for much longer than you will anything. So
yeah, I know that I've seen a lot of people posting some of the bigger collectors out there of vintage merch, and they're like, I don't understand the people that would sell their vintage coin merch for this modern day collectible. And I think, my wife, who is not connected to any of this stuff at all, she said, you need to sell some of your bigger collectible items, your vintage stuff. You only get one chance for the experience.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the Vault. You only get one chance for the experience.
I'm talking about
the Vault. And then save up some money and rebuy those vintage collectibles again.
Or maybe not. Or maybe you decide that.
Or maybe not.
Yeah.
So
But it's funny. So if you're going to sell your vintage merchandise, where can you do it?
You can do it in the Kiss My Collectibles Facebook group. Would be facebook.com/groups/Kiss My Collectibles with a K.
Thank you.
Or you can go to do what?
Thank you for that plug.
Yeah. Or you can go to kissmycollectibles with a K.com, and all of our links are listed there. So anyway, all right. That it?
Yeah. Listen, he blew my mind, and just listening to him talk about this got me even more jazzed. So I'm really glad that we were very fortunate to have him on.
Yeah, me too, man. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap this one up, and if we ain't got anything else, we will.
Well, I got one more thing. See you guys in Atlanta. See you in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. we'll see you in Atlanta, and if you see this after Atlanta, we won't. So, but we will see you on the next podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to Kiss My Collectibles, your source for vinyl, toys, bootlegs, and more. Visit us online at kissmycollectibles.com.